Good Wednesday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV. Goodness gracious, we just may get some sun today, but this morning it's looked like it's going to be another rainy day, but I see some clouds breaking up, and wow, it is a really nice morning, being the temperatures aren't really hot. The humidity is kind of dissipated, so it's a beautiful Wednesday morning, midweek here in the Northern Virginia, Maryland, D.C. area. If you watch my channel, you know I live up here in the northern part, right on the borderline of Maryland, up in the corner. And it is really just a beautiful morning here. And hopefully the rains have subsided, and we'll have a nice day. Because I really want to ride my Goldwing or my Afro Twin to get it inspected. The Trion needs to be inspected. It's such a baloney. It's so ridiculous up here in Virginia how you have to literally take a day off of work. I mean, this is true. Some people up here literally have to take a day off of work just to get their car inspected. It's such a nuisance. It's such a joke. It's such a scam. It's ridiculous. It's just an ongoing Virginia legislature abusing the state's privileges for you to be able to live here. It's a joke. Let's go in here and check them out. I didn't even go to bed last night till close to 2 o'clock. I mean, I get to watching these series on Netflix, Paramount. No, don't jump up on me. And it's incredible on how I get so addicted to watching these shows and movies, I can't go to bed. All right, so everybody did okay, thank goodness. And that's what we want to see, everybody. Everybody's doing business outside and not inside, thank God. Wow. Yeah, I didn't even get the dogs in to the crates last night until 1:45 a.m. I didn't even go to sleep till probably close to 3 a.m. I mean, I get into these series of these movies, and I mean, wow, I just can't. I end up watching episode after episode. The problem is, if there's 8 episodes, I'll borderline watch all 8 episodes. I did this years ago. Joe turned me on to this one series. Can't remember it. I couldn't turn the damn TV off. It drives me nutty because I just want to keep on seeing how it's all going to play out. That story, getting across the way, I'm surprised my neighbor hasn't timed it perfectly where he's walking the dog up the street. Come on, puppies. Okay, see there? That's what we want to see. The piss and the poop go outside of the barn because, man, I'm sure he remembers this barn just disgusting. The dust and pollen definitely have slowed up. I filled all the dog bowls up prior to getting out here, just so you have to sit there and watch me do that. So the good news is the dirt is not as radical. Come on, pups, come on up. Come on, get up there. Come on, get up there. Come on, come on. You want to go up there too? You want to go there? All right, come on. So, come on. Come on. Come on, come on, Gypsy, come on. Let's go, come on. Come on, Rebel. Come here, boy. Come on, I'm running really late this morning. Brian, come on, Pops, let's go. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, let's go, come on. Come on, Ginger. Come on, let's go, come on. Come on, go, come on, come on. Yeah, Brian will be here shortly. Come on, Rebel, come on, come on, come on. You can eat in a little bit. But this video really can't be that long because I got such a late start because I slept in too long. Whoops, get back. Come on, get on back. And so that kind of changed things this morning. But it is what it is. If you get all that saying, here's my coffee, my bananas, my whole man cave. I really do have the man cave, everybody. I got my whole kitchen out here. I mean, I just live out here. I just literally hang out here and have fun in my shop, make myself dinner. It just is incredible to think how I've evolved in this world, if you kind of get that. And so, you know what? What do we talk about besides what do we talk about? It gets to the point of blah, 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 blah. Here's this little lithium battery. This thing is so small. Last night, if you watched my battery tender aggravations, it drives me nuts on how these motorcycle dealerships don't put battery tenders on these motorcycles. It drives me nuts. It's like, these are the most incompetent people in the world that sell motorcycles. But I said it yesterday in my video, if you want to watch it, I really was just aggravated because it's always a project. And this has turned into a project because now I broke the little screw, and just getting this wiring harness through this sealed off bite to the other side was a major fucking project. May not seem like to you, but it is. And but the point is that these motorcycle dealerships, I don't get why they don't put battery tenders on there, but I do get it because they sell you batteries. That's all I can figure out is for dealerships. They're like, why do we really want to give these guys a favor when we just hope he parks his bike 2/3 of the time, and during the 2/3 of the time he parks, he doesn't put a battery tender on it. So I hope you bought a battery from us. I mean, come on. You just have to come to closure. That's got to be the laughing in the back room conversation at all these dealerships. You've heard me talk about it a gazillion times. A gazillion times. So now, not really a big deal, but I got to go to a battery warehouse, and what the downside here is this little screw. If you look here, this is literally, if you look at the depth, when that sits in the bottom there, it's hard for you to tell. When that sits on the bottom there, let me see if I can just kind of lay it up top there for you to look at. The screw isn't long enough. The screw's not long enough to really capture that. Once this thing's upright or on the side, whatever it may be, it's oh my gosh, what a joke. It's a mistake. It's a mistake. So I hung out here. That's what I do now. I just, hang out. The bachelor. The lone man, Iceman, is what I am now. I mean, I'm back to really just being the kid that came out of high school and got my life going. And literally, and then the early years of my marriage with my wife, it was 8 years. It was 8 years, close to a decade before I had a responsibility come into my life. And you all know what I'm talking about in that. Many people do it. Here's the word of the day. You think to yourself, words are very powerful. Words are very powerful in how you feel. When somebody says, I love you, that is powerful. When somebody says, I hate you, that is powerful. So I was thinking to myself this morning, I actually kind of thought about it last night to myself, was, what could we talk about? And I thought, what other word in the dictionary, in our vocabulary, is a huge problem in our world? I thought to myself, can you think of a word that goes on every day in our life that's a huge, huge problem that we face as these human beings on this planet Earth we are, where Elon Musk wants to transport us to Mars? I don't know, man. That guy's a wild-ass guy. You really think that the Mars is going to be... I mean, if we follow Musk kind of where he kind of goes all over the place in some ways, but here's the word. The word is mistake. I think to myself, that has to be probably one of the biggest actual words of mankind. It's mistake. We all make mistakes. And I was thinking to myself, how do you overcome that feeling when you make a mistake? And a mistake is broad in every aspect of life for all of us, because all of us make mistakes. At the very beginning of your life coming to this world, we're taught through going through the schooling system to try to get good grades. Well, the only way you get good grades is by not making mistakes on the tests you take and what you learn. I mean, aptitude tests, it's all your IQ. It's all about how many mistakes do you make of not answering the questions correctly or understanding what you've been taught. And so I was thinking to myself, wow, what is the number one biggest mistake that goes on more than ever on our world? And it's really kind of sad to even say this. It's babies. What is the number one agenda that populates when we have the Democratic Party and GOP Party getting ready to run for the primaries, to run for election? What is the number one thing that the parties then have a huge separation? It's called abortion. So what's the biggest thing that happens in mankind? It's pregnancy. It's the mistake of pregnancy, which then turns into the abortion. And it's massive. It's massive how many people have made a mistake and they've gotten rid of that mistake. But have they? And that's the thing you have to say to yourself. Have you gotten rid of it? When you make a mistake, does that stay with you? I would be willing to bet most people will say when they've had something radical of a mistake happen in their life, that doesn't go away. That hard lesson, if it's even a lesson, or that incident, that occurrence, whatever it was in your life, you will never ever let go of that mistake. And the reason I bring this up because it comes to the powers to be of our country that seem to make a lot of mistakes. But it seems as if we're the people that pick up the pieces on an ongoing basis of the big people making decisions that are mistakes, and us as the little people suffer the consequences. It's just incredible. Here's Del Monte. Del Monte Canned Foods. I'm sure most people know the name Del Monte. They're in major financial. It's a major financial fiasco. I don't even know how they get themselves into this, but they're going through a bankruptcy. They've been going through a bankruptcy. Did you know that Del Monte Canned Foods, who's one of the most probably dominant canned food companies in the world, is going through major liquidation and bankruptcy? What type of mistakes were made to create that? You just think to yourself, wow. That's a massive industry. It's a massive dominance of the world in making canned foods. And they've made so many mistakes. They're going broke. But who's going to pick up the pieces? Who's going to leverage them out? For you and I, the word you hear is just file bankruptcy. If people hear my story of my channel, and so many people just file bankruptcy. Well, I've been through that. I've been through 2 bankruptcies. I've had to bankrupt a company, then I had to bankrupt myself because of mistakes that I made. But in all reality, it's because of mistakes of the bigger powers to be that presented to me a false economy that I didn't know was happening. Back in 2004, 5, 6, I can't emphasize enough on how I witnessed people making money like you can't believe. People buying things like you can't believe. And I just scratch my head all the time. What? Where is all this money coming from? Not knowing people were using their homes as a piggy bank, cashing out of them to then give them money to go splurge and buy material things that never ever seen. Beyond believable. And I got caught up in that whole fake economy where I thought opening up a brand new lawn and garden equipment dealership in Loudoun County, Virginia, which is one of the faster growing counties in the country at the time, that I would reap the rewards. Here's Brian right here. I would reap the rewards for the amount of money floating around the market. Never knowing at the same time, people are going belly up. Because now they've over-leveraged themselves in their homes. They've made a huge mistake of borrowing all this money out of their homes, and now they can't pay the debt in the homes. So they look. The couple looks at each other and says, "We'll just sell the home." Well, then it turned into they couldn't sell the home for the value of the debt owed on it. So then it turned into foreclosures, and then the list, and then that was just a domino effect back in 2008, 9, that then carried over to every other sector of our economy, of the cars and trucks and motorcycles, the boats, the RVs, the list goes on and on and on of all the mistakes that were made. And all the mistakes of people paid dearly of losing everything. I don't want Brian to feel like he's going to be nudged out of here. I got to get him to the office to go to work. So I'm going to go out here and I'll turn I don't think he wants to be on my channel. Can you blame him, if you know what I mean? So to make sure he hears me talking, but I want to make sure he knows he can come in here and do his thing. Hey, the phone's reversed. They don't see you. So, go upstairs. The dogs are upstairs and start reading reports. I got a late start. But you're not on the video. So, I know, I'm just letting you know I've got it reversed here just so I don't invade your space. All right? Go hang out with the dogs. Turn on the air conditioner, too, when you get upstairs. All right? So anyways, with the mistakes once again, we all witnessed the massive mistakes that were made, but then the government steps in and it starts picking up the mistakes. And for you and I, we just don't have that leverage or that leisure of once the big guys start to go broke, that then the bigger guy then gets involved and entangled and tries to resolve the problem. And it doesn't always play out where the big guy does solve the problem. I mean, that's a whole other thing. But once again, the reason I'm bringing up this mistake conversation, I think to myself, my channel has revolved around the internal combustion engine age and the EV age. My channel, I have so much content on the electric vehicles and where the industry was portraying itself to really go a whole new direction. And it's incredible on how much the industry of the likes of Mary Barrera of GM, Jim Farley of Ford, the grandson of Toyota, T-O-Y-O-D-A, was against all this green agenda advancement. He was forced out of Toyota, due to his resistance to this rapid speed EV movement. He thought it was a huge mistake, but he was being sued by the green agenda activists, which I've talked so much about this on my channel, about the billions of dollars that are funded throughout the world to support the green agenda activists to get on board of all these board meetings, to be ownership in big mega companies where they can influence in the back room what the direction of the business is going to have to mold to be, because of their control of having stock values and also just having lawsuit values, blah 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 blah. So it's incredible though that on this whole EV agenda that we witnessed from the Joe Biden administration, on how it was such a radical push overnight, and now it's being shown that it's a huge mistake. It's being shown on what the subsidies are required to carry this EV revolution. And a new guy comes into office named Donald Trump, and he sees the painting on the wall that this just isn't going to play out in this country at this rapid pace and to continue to beat up the ice age. It just isn't a fair trade, a fair balance. And so he's rescinded all these bills and all this legislation that, in his view, is a mistake. And the reason I bring this conversation is Elon Musk has made a huge mistake. This is what just irritates me as an individual, because the rich people in the world make so much money off of the mistakes of others, and now we're witnessing for Elon Musk, he made a huge mistake of helping Donald Trump get in office, because now Donald Trump is literally attacking Elon Musk. He and Elon Musk are no longer companions. He and Elon Musk are no longer on the same page. Elon Musk is running his mouth all over again about how this raising the debt limit to $5 trillion from what right now is at $3 trillion is driving Elon Musk nuts. He can't hold his breath. Elon Musk can't hold his breath on how Donald Trump has rescinded all the tax incentives given to Elon Musk. But this all hasn't played out totally yet. As you know, the big, beautiful bill is now in the heat of the moment, of where there's a lot of resistance to a lot of these cuts and a lot of these rewrite the tax laws that's going on as we speak, where Donald Trump wants to get this bill finalized and signed before July 4th. He's talking about nobody goes on vacation. Let's get this thing hammered out, get it done, and get his signature on this thing so he can move forward with what he thinks is a better way to take this country versus the mistakes that the previous administration had made. But I still just scratch my head on how you and I are suffering the consequences of the mistakes made. That you and I have to pay, we have to pay the price. We have to pay the price for the rich-ass people that change policies and change direction. And everything around us that you look at, I'm walking in front of right now, you and I have paid for the mistakes of those big companies that have iced our love of our vehicles by raising the prices on these things like never ever seen. Like never ever seen in such a short time frame. And it's always goes back to, it's the shortage of materials, the pandemic, shortage of labor, blah, 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 blah. And then the transitioning from ICE to EV age. And yet you and I, we're the people that are paying more money than ever for everything that's around us. And now Donald Trump is in office, and he's hell-bent on punishing the world that doesn't come to the table, that lets the Americans build things and sell it to them in their country. And he's so hell-bent on it that it's ongoing negotiations, that the deadline keeps on getting extended. If you call us bluff or you don't call us bluff, Japan right now is not wanting to play this game. They're very upset. Donald Trump's now talking maybe 35% tariff on any Japanese-made product brought to our country, which you know, the Japanese dominate the car and motorcycle industry that supplies our country like never ever seen. So that hasn't come to resolution yet, but it's ongoing in the back end. But here's the thing. If Donald Trump really does impose a 35% tariff on the Japanese, which I think is going to be a huge mistake, the Japanese isn't a big nation. It's not a big country. So I don't know what Donald Trump's thinking on all the goods and products we're going to sell to Japan to offset the trade deficit between the two countries. I just don't get that way of thinking on how that makes any sense. It just makes no sense. So this will be a huge mistake if Donald Trump follows through with this, because every vehicle that has Japanese parts in it, which isn't going to be like the Chinese parts, but for any vehicle that is made in Japan, and today, keep in mind, Honda and Toyota, more of the dominant players out of Japan, they have definitely transitioned to our own backyard to make cars. But for those cars that are brought in, it's going to be a huge increase in pricing that you and I will have to pay for the mistake of feeling that this tariff on Japan is really going to change our country's infrastructure anytime soon. I mean, it's just befuddling everybody, because if you read about Amazon, if you read about Jeff Bezos, if you read about what's going on, they are automating things like never ever seen. They have now over 1 million robots in their workforce. They are already starting to cut back on manual labor of humans that's transitioning to the robotics. So you just think to yourself, for Donald Trump, you think, okay, so he wants to bring all this job creation back to our country, which is mainly manufacturing, but at the same time, we're chasing the artificial intelligence, the robotics, at the fastest pace ever in our lifetime. And you have to say to yourself, we're all going to pay dearly for more things through the Donald Trump's, philosophy, his vision, his business model, his Make America Great Again. But at the end of the day, are there really going to be more people employed in these manufacturing facilities when the robotics is going to overtake that? I mean, it's just, you have to scratch your head. At the end of the day, all these big manufacturers will be using robotics like never before. So the big pipe dream of all this so-called homegrown labor brought to the manufacturing sector, it's like, but it's a mistake. It's a mistake because it's not going to create the jobs that so many think they are. I mean, what is going on behind the scenes, as we know, like never seen, is the chase of artificial intelligence. And you know what's really starting to show, which is starting to be a little concerning, is the likes of the China DeepSeek artificial intelligence is growing by leaps and bounds. Many world companies are actually signing on with DeepSeek because they're like a fraction of the cost to deal with, because the DeepSeek so-called accomplished what OpenAI did in other big artificial intelligence companies for just a minimal amount of money. So it's already being shown in some ways that they're already the mistakes are being made like never seen in an artificial intelligence chase as China is getting world market infrastructure and potentially world dominance on artificial intelligence. And so, which many feel that'll be a huge mistake because it's going to hurt the American side's entrepreneurial, its infrastructure of technology, and blah, 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 blah. And so then I think a lot of people will just have to wonder, how many mistakes in the end will the artificial intelligence make? I mean, you just have to scratch your head. If you think about mankind, as I'm speaking, somebody just crashed a car. Somebody just died in a car today. I mean, it goes on all day long because somebody made a mistake of how they drive a vehicle. That's a major problem. I mean, but the thing about mistakes is it's a windfall of money for the health industry. If you get that, lifestyles, people make mistakes of how they live, how they eat, how they drink, how they smoke, how they interact with others. I mean, so like the mental ward, the hospitals, they live off of the mistakes of us humans that create, we create upon ourselves. It's a person gets in a car accident. Well, that's part of the insurance industry paying out bills for, car-related injuries. Look at the funeral home business. With all the ODs, look at the drug industry. It's a huge mistake all the time. People are going out and getting stoned off their ass, and they don't come back after getting stoned off their ass. It's a huge problem in our country of where drugs, alcohol abuse is through the roof. And so for all the mistakes, somebody's getting a reward for the mistakes. And the biggest mistake that this country has is it can't get a handle on the illegal drug cartels and infrastructure of what goes on that feeds the addiction to so many that end up losing their lives. They don't even have to die, but it's a whole change of life for them once you get addicted to drugs that you can't live off the drugs. It's a very radical mistake. And that's a big problem. And that relates into relationships, families. I mean, wow. Now do you know why people go to church? People go to church because you get a lesson of mankind, of the mistakes that mankind makes. I mean, that's what cracks up people that are anti-church. It's like the Bible is just a lesson of life. I mean, it gets radical in some ways, but at the same time, all you're reading is the lessons of life observed by others writing scripture to share with you as an individual that mankind is a mistake. In general, mankind is a major mistake. There's people so radical in the green agenda, they think that you and I shouldn't be here because it's a mistake because we're ruining Mother Nature Earth. I mean, there's people that truly believe that. There's people out there who will probably convince you to kill yourself just to not do any more harm to this Mother Nature Earth that we live on. Yeah, right. All right, everybody, I got to go to work. I've got a late start, but the mistakes upon us, once again, what mistake have you made in your life that you can't let go? I mean, that goes to confession. That goes into, if you're Catholic, you're now going to go talk and you're going to confess the mistakes you've made. I mean, on my channel, you've witnessed the mistakes I've made. You're witnessing me as an individual having to handle me understanding and accepting I've made some really bad mistakes. Now, how do I handle that? And that's a whole other conversation for another day. And we'll leave it at that. But for anybody here on my channel, I know every one of us has a heart-wrenching story of a mistake that's happened in your life. And I know that. And believe me, does that hit me in my heart? It does. When you get older in life and you kind of understand what all of us have to go through in our travels in life and to overcome incredible challenges. It's very challenging, especially at older. You look at things totally differently. So I can totally relate with those people that confess on my channel to the hardships that happen in our life and the hardships that are still on in our life. And I think that's why what creates a bond in relationships is we can admit our mistakes. And we can relate with each other on how those mistakes hopefully can make us stronger and not weaker, because that is huge. I'll leave it at that. So once again, appreciate you watching my channel, and I just like to talk. I just like to give ideas and thoughts. That's all it is. I'm not watching the news. I don't watch the news. I read the Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, I look at X. I get little tidbits of information, what's going on, but I just don't get into the brainwashing and listen to Jesse Waters, Dan Bongino, who's no longer on his podcast because he's down there fighting everybody else in the government. You can go through the list of all the different personalities that go on and on every day. To me, I don't listen to them because I think you're just re-talking, rehashing what they talk about, and I don't think that's a very good. What am I doing? Plagiarism in so many ways. I think plagiarism in social media is huge, huge. People just ride off of other people's ideas and thoughts, and they use those, and they ride off of doing podcasts and blah, 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 blah. So anyways, leave it at that. God bless. Have a beautiful Wednesday midweek.